Well, hello, I'm Branden Bodendorfer, and welcome to the Third Thursday podcast. This is a moment designed to help you stop, take a breath, and ask yourself, am I achieving what I set out to do this month? It's a moment to reflect on what is still to come and to make the necessary pivots so you can reach the goals and aspirations you have as you embark on the last week of the month. I'm so happy to have you guys here because we're going to talk about something that is so close to home. Something that I've preached for so many years to all my colleagues, and that is talking about the sum of all things. That's right. The idea that who you are is not created in isolation. It's shaped, challenged, sharpened, and sometimes clouded by the people we choose to walk with through life. You probably heard me say, you are the average of 5 people that you spend the most time with. But today we're going to go deeper than just that. We're going to talk about and explore how short and long-term relationships influence us, how to take inventory of those voices, and how to consistently build a circle that reflects the person you're becoming, not just the person you've been. So let's dive in. In life, we meet a lot of people. Some are only here in our lives for a moment, others for a lifetime. But every relationship, no matter how brief, leaves a mark. And if you zoom out and you see it, your identity, your values, your habits, they're all influenced by the company that you keep. So here's the big question. Who is in your circle? What does that say about where you are headed? We often underestimate the power of the people around us. Whether someone has been in our life for a decade or just crossed our path this last week, their presence leaves a trace. Sometimes it's even in the way that they speak, the energy they bring into a room, the standards they hold or let slide. See, some relationships shape us deeply over time. Think of the mentor, that close friend, or even a parent or a spouse. Someone who values slowly became ingrained as your own. Those long-term influences can anchor us, challenge us, or at times hold us in place. But it's not just the long-term connections that mold us. There's also the short-term influences, the interactions that still leave an impression on who we are. The conversation with a stranger on a plane, a teacher you had for only one semester, a coworker from an old job. These moments might seem small, but they often arrive at the right time to shift your thinking or spark something within you. And there's science behind why all this happens. And I'm going to totally bust up a few of these words, but I want you to think about what the message is behind each and every one of them. Mirror neurons. Neurologically, we're wired to imitate and empathize. Mirror neurons in our brain fire when we observe someone else's actions or emotions. It's the reason you flinch when someone else gets hurt, or you feel more confident when you're around someone who carries himself boldly. We mirror what we experience. Then there's the emotional connections. The idea that emotions spread from person to person like a virus. If you're surrounded by people who are consistently negative, stressed, or complaining, you're likely to adopt that same mindset. However, if you spend your time around people that are optimistic, driven, and emotionally intelligent, their energies rub off. There's also the social conformity, the pull that we feel to match our behavior to those around us. It's why high performers tend to rise when they join communities of excellence, and why mediocrity can feel comfortable if that's all we're modeled to around us. That's why the quote by Dan Pena hits so hard and so close to home. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. It's not just motivational, it's neurological, emotional, and behavioral. So if you want to know where you're heading, look at who you are walking closest to. Are they growing? Are they grounded? Are they pushing themselves and you to be better? And just as importantly, what kind of influence are you on the people in your life? Because it goes both ways. You're not just here to shape and be shaped. You're also here to shape others, each and every day. When I first stepped into business, I was fortunate. The people closest to me were business partners and a few seasoned entrepreneurs. It was a solid support group, people who had experience, wisdom, and were willing to invest their time and insight into my personal journey. In those early days, it was exactly what I needed to get started. As our business began to grow, I started to look for people who could take me to the next level. I sought out individuals who were, in many ways, just like me, but also intentionally different. I was reading a lot of books at the time that emphasized the importance of focusing on your strengths and finding others who could complement your weaknesses. That made a lot of sense to me, and it still does to a degree, but I didn't see what was coming. As I brought these people into my circle, I slowly began to lose my own direction. Their strengths and their sense of direction started to pull me away from my own. I became more of a follower than a leader. My voice and decisions grew quieter. My entrepreneur instincts began to sit on the sidelines while I worked to support the vision of the group I had built around me. The more I leaned into the team, the more I lost touch with my own strengths. My weaknesses became more exposed, and my contributions began to feel small, almost invisible. Over time, the disconnect grew, and eventually those relationships, the business investments that I was tied to, unraveled. And I walked away feeling defeated and honestly lost. I started to question my own abilities. My confidence took a major hit and began to wonder whether I really had what it took or if I had just been lucky for all these years. That's when the planner became the most important tool. It became a lifeline. I turned to my annual keys and started brutally, honestly asking myself, where do I go from here? What do I want to do in the 4 areas of my life that were key to me? My career, self, relationships, and community. That clarity helped me rebuild. But this time, I wasn't just rebuilding to assemble a team. I was creating a circle that supported me, challenged me, believed in me, and most importantly, sharpened me. Today, when someone in my circle challenges my thinking, it's not to override my voice. It's to help me refine my vision, to push me towards clarity and not conformity. This new inventory people has deepened my walk with Jesus, strengthened my goals and discipline, enriched both of my personal, professional, physical, and mental health. And here's the key. It's not that they were all alike. They're not even all alike me, but they align with my values, my purpose, and my growth. And that has made all the difference in my own success. Let's take a moment to get personal. I want you, yes, you listening right now, to pause and reflect. Think about the 5 people you spend the most time with, not just in person, but virtually too. That includes the voices in your texts, your group chats, your Zoom calls, and even the podcasts or creators you follow online. Write down their names, literally. If you're driving or out for a walk, do it mentally. But come back to it later and make it real. Once you've gotten your 5, ask yourself these questions. Are they lifting me up or pulling me down? Do they challenge me in a way that grows me or frustrates me? Do I leave interactions with them feeling inspired, drained, or neutral? Do their habits align with me and with what I'm building for the future? Would I trade places with any of them in some area of life? Character, discipline, faith, leadership, peace? This isn't about juggling people or cutting ties recklessly. It's about awareness. Because when you are aware, you begin to make conscious choices about your environment. You realize you're surrounding yourself with people who are comfortable, and maybe that's why you're in this season. But comfort doesn't always create great growth. Sometimes it creates complacency. And here's the kicker. If you're in a gap between the life you want and the life you're living, your 5 may be part of that reason. This exercise isn't just about who you need less of, it's also about who you need more of. Who are your expanders in your life? The ones who make you think bigger, speak more intentionally, act with greater courage. Maybe you don't talk to them enough. Maybe they're someone you admire from a distance. Maybe it's time to move that relationship closer to the center. This inventory is not a one-time thing. It's a tool. It's a mirror. And it evolves as you evolve. So let's revisit it. Quarterly, monthly, and even weekly if you're in a season of transition. Because if you're serious about becoming someone different, you can't do it surrounded by the same old energy. That's the definition of insanity. Now that you've taken the inventory, the next step is just as important. Make conscious choices about who you allow in your inner circle and how they show up for you within your circle. Growth doesn't happen by accident, neither does alignment. If you want to live with purpose, you have to choose relationships that surround you with intentions. This might mean creating a space for someone who constantly is negative, even though you care about them deeply. This may mean joining a group that intimidates you to a degree, because everyone in that room is operating at a higher level above you, and that's where you want to be. That's not a threat. It's not an opportunity. You need expanders, people who stretch your vision, not shrink it. Sometimes those people are coaches, sometimes they're colleagues, sometimes they're to be the friend who always tells you the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. And sometimes it's someone you haven't met yet, because you haven't put yourself in a room where they are. So let me challenge you. Who do you need to spend more time with this month? Who should you maybe spend less time with, even if it's just emotionally? And are you being the kind of person that others want in their circle? Because influence is reciprocal. You're not just choosing who influences you, you're deciding what kind of influence you'll be on others. This is where planning becomes powerful. Tools like the planner help you make real choices. Weekly goals. Can you use a section to identify which relationships to nurture? It could be a coffee with someone, inspiring, a tough but needed conversation, or simply making time to reconnect. People connections. Use this to map out your focus. Who do you need to check in with this week to grow your network, your mindset, or your heart? If you have established meetings with them, find out what questions you need to ask, what answers you need to seek. And use the decision journal. Don't just track what you're deciding, track the impact of those decisions over time. Note how your circle shifts. Reflect on how new influences can shape your thoughts and behaviors. This is not about journaling. It's about self-awareness in action. And for the executive and complete users, think about that team builder, the one-on-one. If you lead a team, use your one-on-one not just for a task update, but to learn each and every person's vision, their why. Ask about their career. Understand their strengths. When you get intentional about people, culture shifts, relationship deepens, and trust builds. When you take ownership of who's around you and how you invest in those connections, you stop drifting and start designing. So don't let your circle happen by default. Create it, shape it, and protect it. Because the sum of all things begins with who you choose to bring close to you. We open today with the idea that you are the sum of all things. The relationships, the interactions, the moments that have shaped who you are into who you are right now. Some of those influences came by choice, other by chance. What happens next is really up to you. You have the power to reshape your circle, to pursue relationships and stretch them, to deepen them, to limit the voices that shrink you, to be a better influence to the people who look to you as part of their five. Let me leave you with this. You are not just a sum of the people around you. You are also what you allow in. So, as you step into the rest of this year, as you look to the next month, ask yourself, who am I becoming? Who is walking with me? And am I living with someone worth walking with? Take the time to reach out to the one person who challenges you and inspires you, and maybe quietly create distance from that one relationship that no longer aligns. It's not always easy, but it's commonly necessary because the next version of you is already waiting on the other side of the people you're brave enough to stand beside. I want you to go forward in peace. Thanks for spending time with me today. I'm Branden Bodendorfer, creator of the Key to Success Planner. And as we end out this month and the first half of the year, I want you to expand your reflection and ask yourself, am I at where I wanted to be? Am I accomplishing the things that I set out to do? Have I reached the goals that I set for myself? Ask yourself, are the action steps in front of me? Am I completing those tasks? Am I on the right mission? Are you excited for the second half of the year? Are you drained? You burnt out? Are you still very optimistic for what's to come? The second half of the year, the third and fourth quarter, is still your opportunity to shine. It's your opportunity to make the year whole, to reach those goals, to see that vision for what you had yourself. And maybe right now is the perfect time to think about the people you are surrounding yourself with. Who is going to carry you over the finish line? Who is going to rally behind your thoughts and ideas and help you move forward? Doesn't necessarily, like I said, mean abandoning those that you know. It just means enriching the ones that are going to bring you up and enriching the lives of those who you hope to carry in your world forward. So let's dive into the planner. Let's think about what success looks like, and let's continue to move forward. Godspeed. I'll see you next month.